Everybody, welcome to Moscow, where it's currently getting dark, but as you can see around us, the lights are starting to come on and make this place a much warmer city than it normally is, with the festive cheer and Christmas trees lighting up the place really brightly. If you look over to my right, you might recognize one of Moscow's most iconic attractions. That's the Bolshoi Theatre, where ballet famously has taken place for decades here in Russia. But we're here today to show you the Journey to Christmas festival. So to my left, we're going to go inside and look at one of many attractions taking place on the Journey to Christmas here in Moscow. As we go along, you'll notice many familiar things perhaps, Christmas trees, for example, festive lights and things like that. But it is slightly different here in Moscow, as you might expect. The whole world is going through a pandemic and Moscow is no exception. In here, it's fine, we don't need to wear masks, but in other places, Christmas festivities have been toned down a little bit. For example, this year we're not holding masterclasses in Moscow, but nearly everything else has been declared open by the mayor of Moscow, Sergei Sobyanin, and he has invited people to come out and enjoy the winter festivities as usual. To get you an idea though of what's going on here in Moscow and what this is all about, Ksenia Rios from Moscow Me is a tour guide here in Moscow. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Great. So you've been here for a while, you know what's going on in the city, you help people find out what's going on, how to make the most of this Christmas tradition. Where are we now and what can we see around us?
We are now at the Revolution Square. We are right in the heart of the city, between the major sites of Moscow, like the Red Square, the Kremlin and the Bolshoi Theatre.
So we're right at the heart of Moscow, and this is not something which is just for Muscovites, right? People come from all over Russia, all over the world, to see what is a huge Christmas tradition.
Yeah, absolutely. Every year more and more tourists come to Moscow because the fame of Moscow Christmas decorations is spreading every year to more people.
Now, of course, it's slightly different this year with the pandemic. Are people, though, still coming to Moscow to experience what's going on?
Absolutely. Last year it was not allowed to travel, so last year there were no Christmas markets, but this year the borders are open to some countries and people managed to come to Russia and enjoy the Christmas markets and the Christmas atmosphere.
Now, have you been talking to anyone lately about why they might want to come to Moscow, what things they're interested in seeing, or what some of the favourite things you as a Russian person like to do at this season?
We like ice skating, skiing, you can do snowmobiling, all kinds of like snow activities here.
So plenty of events to get into doing, yeah.
Absolutely, as well as husky rides. I forgot to mention the husky rides.
How can we forget the husky rides?
Yeah.
Right, we're going to have a look around. See you later.
Thank you
so much.
Bye.
Bye. So indeed, ice skating, one of the options for people here in Russia, and we'll have a look at one of the ice rinks in the city centre soon. There are over 200 ice rinks in Moscow, 18 of them free. So if you have your own skates, you can just head along and jump on the ice whenever you feel like it. So as we go over this way, you can see behind me a gigantic carousel. And you may also recognise some Christmas tunes. You'll certainly hear some of the more traditional Russian ones, but maybe some English ones as well. It's a very international city, Moscow. That's one of its appeal. You can come here and quite easily understand what's going on and get around very easily. Have a look at that. Now, there are 27 fairs in Moscow, a bit like this one. And as you can see, it's not just entertainment. If we come over around this side, you start to get a sense of the larger picture. We've got stalls selling all sorts of Russian treats and serving hot tea and coffee on these cold winter nights, made warmer, of course, by these delightful Christmas lights and this giant fire in the middle. Здравствуйте. Now, there are many Christmas trees in Moscow, and one of the things it would be great if you put in the comments, there is a tallest tree. If you think you know or can guess how exactly high the tallest tree is in Moscow, in general, I'll give you a clue. The average height of the Christmas tree in Moscow is 8 meters. Thousands have been put up by the city, but what's the tallest one in the city? See if you can have a guess. Write your ideas in the comments, and we're going to go in this direction towards the ice rink, where a very popular activity here in Russia. Of course, in winter, December, January, February, it very quickly becomes very cold, below -0. Right now, it's actually an unsurprisingly warm evening in Moscow. But on days like this, it's a great day to come down and skate, because the rinks, artificial ones, as well as ones which sometimes do freeze themselves just due to the weather, are available for Russians, people abroad, and Muscovites, of course. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the epidemiological situation in Moscow is quite relaxed outside. You can see there's no need for masks because we're in a public place. But inside, where you can pick up your skates and things like that, there is a requirement to wear masks, get temperature checks. But then when you come back out onto the ice, well, people, as you can see, are skating freely. Now, in the background, you might just be able to hear the bells of the Kremlin ringing. And the walls, the red, famous walls. Now, we talk about these traditions here in Moscow as Christmas traditions, but really they're more like New Year traditions due to Russia's history. Back in the 1700s, it was the Tsar who first decided to make the Christmas decorations available to the public. Back then, of course, not using anything as fancy as LED lighting, nearly 1 million of which individual LEDs are used in the city to light everything up. But back in the 1700s, they didn't have that. They used coloured flags and torches, fire torches, to light the city. Then during the Soviet Union, the focus came away from Christmas and religion and more for New Year's. So when you talk to people here in Russia, you'll often hear them talking about the New Year holiday. New Year's Eve is the really big one here in Russia. But you see the familiar things like Christmas trees and lights as well, of course. Now let me take you up this way and you can start to get a really good view of the fair itself.
Dear Moscow residents and guests of the capital, our week is sponsored for
now you may just be able to see the Bolshoi Theatre in the background there. And over to the left, the fair itself, where we're spending this evening. Now, one of the things Moscow City is very interested in doing, you might think 1 million LEDs, that's a lot to get through every single year, but no, the Moscow City do reuse the decorations each year. You'll see scattered around the city signs saying 2022 for the year ahead, but of course most of this can be reused again. It's only the 2 that they need to produce every year, or next year the 3. So they are keen to make sure that lighting is reused, and there are hundreds of separate projects in Moscow, special giant bulbuls, as well as the Christmas trees or particular decorations, each custom designed for their location. And they're very difficult to maintain, so teams of people throughout the Christmas period here in Moscow will be going round making sure that the lights work and do that most important job of helping keep Russians, Muscovites, tourists from around the world warm. We're going to leave you here next to the carousel, and then after that I think we're going to pick up a nice warm cup of tea.